associated with the field of data science for almost over 7 years, for almost around 8 years now, and with Intellipaat for quite some time. And I've been in the field of teaching for quite a long time as well. So uh, I work in the services division of Microsoft. My primary role and responsibility, of course, is I work with customers, work on data science problems, gather requirements, and deliver them through till the end. That is essentially what I do on a daily basis. And of course, teaching and training is another passion of mine, something that I've been doing abundantly over the last few years. So that's in short about who I am. Unless, of course, there are other questions that you'd like me to answer about myself, I'm more than happy to get started. So the primary purpose, of course, of this 1 hour session is to try and give you all a deep dive into and try and understand what data science is. There's been this whole new terminology that we're listening. Not really new. It's something that has been there for quite some time. But I think more importantly, try and understand really what data science is from somebody who's been in the industry and who, of course, does teaching as well. So the primary goal is to give you all enough information about what is data science and what can you expect if you decide to move into the field of data science. All right. There are a few important things that we're going to talk about as we go along. We're going to talk about a couple of examples, firstly, where data science can be applied, and a couple of scenarios where data science has been really very successful. We will also talk a little about what are the what are the prerequisites of, or rather, what are the requisites of becoming a data scientist, so to say. What are the elements that you need to really tick off? And more than anything else, you're also going to learn about the some common terminology around what is statistics, what is machine learning, what is data science, what is analytics, what is big data. How do these terms actually interplay with each other? There's so many terms, and at the end of the day, people sell left, right, and center around these terms. What we'll try and understand is we'll try and kind of demystify what these terminologies really are. Okay. With that, the first and the most important definition of this whole exercise, of course, is what is data science? Data science is the process of finding hidden patterns from raw or unstructured data. Now, when we say this, what do we exactly mean? Consider yourself. Take a very, very simple example, right? We'll talk about something very simple to slightly more complex. Consider, for example, you are somebody who is working at GlaxoSmithKline, GSK, or which is a healthcare company, or let's say you work for any pharmaceutical company, and what you're claiming is if you take a particular drug, the diabetes levels in your body are going to go down. You made this claim. As a pharmaceutical company, you've come ahead and you've made this claim that, look, you know what, we've devised a new drug, and if we've formulated a new drug and you actually have this drug, that diabetes levels in your body are actually going to go down. Just because somebody advertises something like this, or just because a pharmaceutical company claims that this is going to you have the drug and diabetes levels are going to go down, would you believe it? Absolutely no. If I were you, I would probably question 10 times before somebody mentions this. Similarly, if let's say a GlaxoSmithKline comes up to and says, look, if you actually have Horlicks, or let's say you have any of these milk supplements, you are going to grow taller. GlaxoSmithKline can claim whatever they want, but at the end of the day, when such companies make such blatant claims, they are also liable to go ahead and prove this to the world that, look, when you take such medication, or when you have such kind of product, you are going to actually get benefits of this, and because something like this has been proven. So what do these companies do? What these companies do is they conduct a simple test. What kind of a test do they conduct? They take two groups, Group A and Group B. Let's say both these groups have same levels of diabetes. Right? For Group A, you administer the drug. For Group B, you don't administer the new drug. You don't give them any drug, or you give them a drug which is there in the market today, something that is already available in the market. For Group A, you give them this new drug that you formulated. Now what you do is you perform, you administer this drug for, let's say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and after 2 or 3 weeks you again take their reading, and then identify if there is a significant difference between the if there is a significant difference in between the diabetes levels of group A and group B, right? Now how are you going to measure if this difference is significant or not? The same example holds good for even Horlicks for that matter. So take for example, you have group A and group B. For group A, you give them Horlicks or let's say any milk supplement that GSK has formulated, and let's say for group B, you don't give them anything. You just give them regular milk, and then you identify the heights. You capture the heights of the two groups over a period of time, and then you try and Okay, there we go. Finally. Oh, good lord. Okay, that was quite a ride. So a quick check, guys. Can you guys let me know? Okay, what happened in capital letters? And I understand there is some issue with the with GoToMeeting. I have no idea what went wrong. Um, but yes, so apologies for that. I think can you guys hear me now? Is it fine now? Can you guys hear me okay now? Yes. Brilliant. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Perfect. So let's talk a little about what data science is, and then we'll go back. We'll probably talk a little about the example that I just mentioned around um, around how data science really works. So, for example, the Horlicks example, or let's say, for example, the diabetes drug example. In both the cases, whenever you do this quick analysis, right, um, of measuring before administering the drug and after administering the drug, you basically collect that data, and then you do some kind of quick analysis on trying to understand if there has been a significant impact or a significant improvement in the diabetes level or not, or if the heights of the students have significantly grown or not. So do some small such analysis. You got to extract patterns out of data. You capture data and then you extract patterns out of that. Such small analysis can be done with the help of statistics, for example. Now, similarly, as time progressed, this was, of course, the drug discovery and doing such kind of clinical trials has been there for a few hundred years now, right? So something like this has been continuously happening over a few hundreds of years. But the point is, over the last 50, 60 years, what has happened is, of course, the volume of data started to become more and more. The advent of internet, of course, brought in more volumes of data, which meant that you had more amount of data to analyze. More data to analyze means more interesting patterns on how people transact. So, for example, you go and stand um, outside, let's say, a supermarket, and you look at the kind of product that people purchase inside a supermarket. Or let's say you stand in a restaurant and you look at the kind of products that, or the kind of items or dishes that people order in a restaurant. There's always a pattern, right? For example, you order a biryani, you of course order a Coke with it. Or let's say you purchase milk, then it's likely that you're going to purchase eggs or sugar or anything of that sort along with it. There's always patterns in how people purchase products, or there's always patterns in how people transact, so to say. So the point is, what we are trying to do is, as data scientists, we are trying to extract, of course, use the data that is being generated by all these systems, and then try and extract hidden patterns out of it. There are different flavors of how you can extract patterns. There are different flavors of how you can do this analysis. The most simplest way of performing this analysis is, of course, using something called as statistics. Statistics is one of the most simplest ways of performing analysis, if you think of it. What you can do is, you could perform analysis like what we had just mentioned about measuring the impact of a drug, or measuring the impact of, let's say, a particular product. You could do quick analysis around it, and such analysis can be done with simple statistics. But more complex problems, like, for example, let's say, take the example of Swiggy, or let's say DoorDash, or any of these food delivery apps that you have today. Every time you order food, um, right on the screen they show you estimated time of delivery. Basically, they tell you that, okay, to deliver this particular product, it takes us x number of x amount of minutes to deliver this kind of a product. But imagine, how do they actually solve that problem? How do they predict what could be the likely amount of time, what would be the time that it would take to deliver that product at your home? So they're going to take into 100 different things. They're going to take 100 different things into account. So what they do is, they take the weather into account, they take the traffic into account, they take um, the kind of food that you ordered. They take, for example, the volume of the food that you ordered. the weather, that if it's rainy or not, the distance from your house to the restaurant, and so on and so forth. They take all of this information and then finally predict if, and then they build a mathematical equation that predicts the likelihood, or the predicts the time that it would take to deliver that particular food. Such kind of problems, while they can also be solved using simple solutions, simple statistical models, over a period of time, what has happened is people have started to make use of more computer science driven approaches to solve these. And hence we call this as machine learning. What you're teaching here is you're teaching systems to behave intelligently. And such kind of a field is typically referred to as machine learning. So where you teach systems to extract patterns all by themselves from historical data. So how would you solve it? You capture a lot of historical data um about what food was ordered and what was the start point, what was the end point, what was the distance, weather, and so on. And then you also would know how much time it took to deliver a particular product. You capture all of that data, and then you build a model on top of it. When you say a model, what do you mean? Then you build basically a simple mathematical equation, wherein if you plug in a couple of information, it would simply tell you the estimated time for delivery of a particular product, right? So that is essentially how you solve for simple problems, so solve for ETA, so to say. Similarly, as time progressed, the complexity of problems became more and more complex. Um, we started with simple impact of a particular drug to predicting, let's say, time of delivery. Now, the kind of problems that you and I are actually solving are slightly more complex. The kind of problems that are being solved outside today are more complex, in the sense that today, when you, let's say, visit a particular when you unlock your phone, right? Today you either unlock it using a fingerprint scanner, or let's say a face detection algorithm. You have a face detection algorithm baked into your phone, which simply looks at your face and unlocks the phone. Or, for example, there is a fingerprint scanner. So based on your fingerprints, it tries to understand that particular image and automatically identifies if that fingerprint matches your fingerprint or not. Or there are more complex problems, like what, let's say, Tesla is doing, self-driving cars, right? The car itself is capable of clicking photographs and trying to understand if the road is clear or not, or if we should take a left, or if it should take a right, or if it should slow down, or if it should speed up, and so on and so forth. um, Such kind of things are typically referred to as artificial intelligence, wherein we're solving slightly more complex problems. So the point is, we've started with simple statistical problems, the statistical solutions, statistics-based solutions. From there, we went from statistics-based solutions to machine learning-driven solutions, which are more computer science-driven. From computer science or machine learning driven solutions, now we are in a situation where we are solving more and more complex problems, which are very difficult to solve on an using any of the other techniques. So we have artificial intelligence based techniques like deep learning and so on. So that's the typical journey. Um, but in general, if I were to broadly talk about the three major pillars of data science, um, data science, of course, requires you to learn statistics, because you've got to solve traditional problems. Data science expects you to learn some kind of computer science and machine learning based algorithms. So these are computer science driven algorithms, because it's hard to solve problems using pen and paper. Statistics is mathematics essentially, but you're not going to solve these problems using pen and paper. You need a more smart way of applying these pattern detection algorithms, and hence you will have to learn machine learning, which is essentially a computer science based set of techniques that will help us apply these statistical operations. And of course, while these are two sides of the coin, you require data, right? You also require some kind of information. You also need to be capable to a extract data and perform some kind of quick analysis on top of this data as well. So when you ask me what should a data scientist essentially be all about, a data scientist should be capable, the end product, of course, is that the data science should be capable to take some data, analyze that data, apply some statistical techniques to draw some inferences, and apply machine learning based techniques to, let's say, build predictive models like predicting ETA or predicting churn, right? Or let's say predicting how much, if predicting if a particular machine is going to go down or not. Let me give you a simple example. Take for example the way how your um, how take for example how a mining plant works, or take for example any automobile, right? Every automobile today generates a lot of information, a lot of data. When you brake, there's data generated. When you accelerate, there's data generated. When you turn left, when you turn right, every second that your car is on, it is actually generating a lot of data. Now based on all of that data, right, before, let's say, a particular component is likely to fail, so for example, let's say your suspension is likely to break, or let's say your brakes are likely to fail, or there are some kind of specific issues in your car that are likely to happen. In general, as a driver, I would know that the machine is likely to fail because you would either sense some kind of vibration or some kind of improper behavior of your car. There are certain signals that the car throws at you, and if you are really a smart driver, you should actually be able to pick up. But but by the time you actually get to realize, damage is already done. So what we try to do is we try to actually predict such kind of failures even before they actually occur. So imagine if I predict if a component of if let's say one of the component in your cars is likely to fail in the next 24 hours, I would inform you up front, and I would ask you to come and drop by at a service center. Basically, we're going to tell you that, look, hey, look, your machine component is likely to fail. Why don't you just come and get it fixed? So that way we could avoid so many accidents on the road, right? So this kind of an analysis is also predictive analysis, predicting when a machine component is likely to fail, or predicting if a component is likely to fail in the next 24 hours or not. So simply put, uh, the the most important piece of your data science journey is going to be statistics, where you're going to learn how to infer patterns out of data. You extend that a bit, and then you learn slightly more complex ways of applying this pattern detection algorithms. You apply you perform predictive modeling by performing these kind of by applying these algorithms, and such kind of a approach is typically referred to as machine learning. And you extend that a little further, problems which are not very easy to solve, like for example analyzing text, or analyzing videos, or analyzing audio, analyzing let's say speech. Such kind of things are very difficult to do when you are when you're working with traditional data, when you're working with traditional algorithms. Hence, the modern approach, a modern set of tools and techniques have come into existence, and we call those as artificial intelligence. Mind you, artificial intelligence has been there for a very long time. Artificial intelligence, for example, your washing machine is also a form of artificial intelligence, because that is also able to automatically wash clothes even without your presence. Uh, so the definition of artificial intelligence has evolved over a period of time. In 1980s, if somebody were to be asked what is artificial intelligence, washing machine was the pinnacle at that point. But today's definition of artificial intelligence is completely different. You want your washing machine to wash. You want your washing machine to be so intelligent that you would want it to automatically set its settings based on the kind of cloth that you put inside the washing machine. And you would want it to use the right right amount of water. You want it to use the right amount of detergent. You don't want it to spoil the cloth, and all of this has to happen intelligently, without us really actually pressing buttons. So that is the definition of intelligence today. So we've progressed from what we were in 1980s and 1990s to the modern day. So in essence, our responsibility as data scientists is to learn from historical patterns and try and apply those historical patterns in the current day scenario. Try and apply those historical patterns in the current day scenario to either predict what is likely to happen in the future, or to try and either try and predict what is likely to happen in the future so that you could overturn the eventual outcome. So, for example, I would like to look at what kind of machine components have failed historically, use that data, apply it on the cars that are running currently in the market today, apply it on the cars that are currently running on the road today, and predict what is likely to happen in the future. So, if I predict that this car is likely to fail in the next 24 hours, I call them up and I ask them to come up and get it fixed. That is what data science is all about. Data science is about embedding intelligence into systems, into different kinds of systems. That is essentially what data science is all about. That's the reason, if I were to explain, there are three large boxes. Statistics. Everybody has to learn statistics. We don't have a choice but to learn statistics because it's the most fundamental aspect of how you perform any kind of analysis. Everybody needs to learn statistics. You push that a little further. We learn machine learning and complex algorithms on the machine learning side. And on the machine learning side itself, in the modern day, you have another subset called as artificial intelligence techniques that have come in, which are deep learning and so on. Right. On the other hand, you have data analysis, which is basically the ability to use data and extract data and so on and so forth. That's the third circle that you see over here. Okay. The question is, why do you need data science? Right? I mean, why suddenly? Why has there been a sudden surge of data scientists today? Before I actually move on, there are a couple of questions that I see here. How did I enter into the field of data science? Good question. And Johan has a question about, I have no math background or computer programming experience. Would it be very tough for me to do this? I'm going to answer your question, Johan. Just hold on for a second. And Sinha, you as well. I'm going to come back and answer your question in a bit. I think just to kind of give you all a very brief idea about the question that Sinha has asked about what sort of courses have I done to become a data scientist myself. I more than the actual course itself, I think what you need to really understand is you got to tick these boxes off. Right, you got to learn statistics, you got to learn machine learning, you got to learn data analysis, you got to learn certain programming techniques. Those are really important. So if I were to simply kind of explain what is it that you really need to learn, here is a quick idea about to become a data scientist. What do you need to learn? The first and the foremost thing that you will have to learn is, of course, stats. The second thing is machine learning. The third is, this is basically from a conceptual standpoint. The third is computer programming. So when you say computer programming, I'm talking about Python, right? Essentially talking about Python. The modern day scenario is basically Python. This is more or less like mandatory. This piece is something that everybody has to learn. You like it or not, all of us have to learn this. That is more or less like the fundamental pieces. Now, in addition to this, what you will also have to learn. Now, in addition to this, what you will have to learn is SQL, which is basically the ability to query data, the ability to gather data from other data sources. That is something which you will have to learn. In addition to this, what you also have to learn is, if you want to specialize in the field of data science, you've got to learn some additional concepts, which are extended concepts of machine learning called as deep learning. This is called as deep learning. This is advanced data science, if I were to say. This is over and beyond whatever you would already learn in the first bucket. So if I were to tell you, look, you got to learn data science, you should of course learn this, you should learn this, and to specialize, you will have to pick up deep learning as well. Now, you have to really be a master of this. You'll have to do very, very well here. This piece that I'm highlighting in red, you got to be a master of it. Um, as far as the other two sections, right, the one that I'm currently marking in green, at least SQL is something that you can be at an entry level. You don't have to be a master of it. Even if you learn the basics of it, that should be good enough. And the last but not the least, of course, is deep learning. Now, if you want to really, if you want to target complex jobs in the data science industry, and if you want to target more and more um, advanced roles, that's where you will have to learn deep learning. So think of deep learning as basically a mastery that you will have to achieve in this particular field, right? In addition to this, what has also happened is, and I'm going to come back to this in a second, um, and I'm going to link it back to whatever I was about to mention here. In addition, what has happened is over the last few years, if you look at the amount of data that is starting to get generated, just look at the volume of the data that is basically getting generated over here since 2000. The volume of data that has been generated since the year 2000 has just taken off exponentially, right? And day by day, there is so much data that is getting generated. Um, every device that we use, there's data that gets generated. I'm currently using GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting generates a lot of data. Or let's say there is so much data that gets generated via my mobile phone. Inside my mobile phone, my computer, the apps that we use, the electricity, bills that you pay via these apps, or let's say utility bills that you pay via these apps. All of this data is getting collated somewhere or the other. The credit card transactions, um, any kind of purchase that you do in a supermarket, every system generates data. Every time you move, as a matter of fact, you move, you create data. How? Because when you move, you have, let's say, a Fitbit, or let's say you have a fitness tracker on you, you're generating data. Now, the point is, when you then generate such large volumes of data, um, over a period of time, it becomes very difficult to analyze such large volumes of data. While of course small data can be easily analyzed with, let's say, simple tools like Python and all, but when you're working with larger volumes of data, um, you will have to learn. You'll basically require additional tools. First things first, such large volumes of data are typically called as, whenever we work with such large volumes of data, we call this large volumes of data as big data, right? And to gain mastery on working with such large volumes of data, we will have to learn a tool called as Spark. We'll have to learn a tool called as Spark. Spark is a tool that is really useful because it helps you perform analysis on large volumes of data called as big data. While most traditional problems are small data problems, 90% of the problems are small data problems, but there are a lot of data sources where you generate tons and tons of data. For example, think of the amount of data that is getting generated in a bank. Think of how many people are transacting in a given day. The volume of data that gets generated inside a bank is just insane. So such large volumes of data require you to learn some additional tools, require you to pick up some additional tools. And that is where Spark comes in really very handy. The point is, this is basically your zone. Now, whatever course you pick up, Sinha, you will have to learn this and, let's say, the others as well, right? The ones that I'm highlighting in green are, I wouldn't say they're optional. I would basically say that they are add-ons on top of whatever you've learned. To really become a good data scientist, you will have to learn all of these over a period of time, of course, slowly, but definitely you'll have to learn all of this. But to get started, you'll have to learn whatever I've highlighted in red there. That is the most and the fundamental basis of how you perform data science, right? So I hope that answers your questions, right? That was a long answer, but I think that's the whole point. That is essentially how data science typically works. Okay, so if I were to kind of give you some kind of a picture about what data science really is, right? So there is, on one side there is statistics. On one side there is statistics, and on the other side there is basically a field called as machine learning. We call it ML, which is a combination of statistics and computer science, basically. Um, that is basically what statistics is all about. In addition to these two, what has also happened is that uh, in addition to these two, what has also happened is there is now another subset of machine learning called as deep learning that has become very, very popular. There is a smaller subset called as deep learning, which has become very, very popular. And all of this put together, right? All of this whole thing put together, sorry, this whole thing put together is what is data science. Statistics, machine learning, and deep learning, all of this put together is what data science is. So as a data scientist, you got to learn statistics, you got to learn machine learning, and you might also have to eventually learn how to make use of how to apply deep learning as well. But of course, deep learning is an advanced concept. Not everybody learns it on day zero. You just cannot say, okay, let me learn deep learning. It doesn't work that way. The process of learning is always this way. You learn statistics, you learn machine learning, then you go into deep learning. It's not that you say, okay, let me learn deep learning straight away. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, that is basically what the data science ecosystem really looks like. Let me just go back here for a second. So the point, of course, as I said here is, as I said, if you see in this particular chart, there is so much volume of data that is getting generated. But I think one of the key points that you also have to understand is the blue section, which is basically unstructured data. What do you mean by unstructured data? Whenever we talk about data, there are two kinds of data. One is called a structured data, and the other is unstructured data. A typical data that can be stored in a tabular format is called as structured data. So for example, whenever you perform any transaction in a bank, your bank statements and everything are maintained as a tabular format at the background. So that is a simple structured data. But imagine the kind of Instagram posts that you make, right? When you make an Instagram post, you're essentially uploading a photograph, an image. An image is something that you cannot store an image in a tabular format. An image is an image. Or let's say you write some piece of text. That text, you cannot store text in a tabular format. There is no table that you can create and store text inside it. So there is no, I mean, I can write a piece of text which is 10 words long. You can write a piece of text which is 100 words long. And there is no real way that I can actually store this piece of text. So, or let's say audio or video for that matter. So that is exactly what we're saying. Over the last few years, what we've seen is increasingly such unstructured data has become more and more popular and has become more and more in volume, which means that because such large volumes of data are getting generated, and that too unstructured data, traditional machine learning problem solutions were not good enough. Hence, that is where people realized that, look, dude, this is all great, but machine learning is not going to solve our problem. We'll have to go into one more step further, which is deep learning. Right? Deep learning is basically slightly more complex implementation of the machine learning algorithms. That is basically what deep learning is all about. And that is why deep learning became more and more popular over the last few years. Okay. For example, another simple example, credit card fraud detection. And I'll simply explain to you how credit card fraud detection works. A simple, very, very simple credit card fraud, or let's say, take for example, Amazon fraud detection, right? When you talk about Amazon fraud detection, let's say you visit Amazon.com, the website, right? Let's say you visit the website, Amazon.com, and then let's say you place an order. The moment you place an order, what happens at the background is your order is basically sent first to a system, right? Then this system is primarily is a fraud detection system. Now, what does this fraud detection system actually do before your order is actually placed? So at times you must have realized that whenever you place a Amazon order, your order doesn't get approved right away. They take a couple of seconds to approve your order, or a couple of minutes also to approve your order, to accept your order. And there are multiple things that run at the background. A few things are, of course, they go back and check if your product is available or not, and they go and verify it with the seller and so on and so forth. They do a lot of checks at the background. But one of the things that they also do is to check if this transaction is fraudulent or not, right? Um Now the thing is, the thing with, let's say, fraud detection is that there can be numerous kinds of frauds that might happen. Right? Somebody just placed an incorrect order, or somebody placed an order, probably to buy from here and sell it somewhere else, and there are different kinds of frauds that can happen. So what Amazon does is, whenever you place an order, they first send it to a fraud detection system. And a fraud detection system is simply nothing but a data science. It's a data science model that is sitting at the background, which identifies if the transaction is fraudulent or not. If it believes that the transaction is fraudulent, if fraud, then what happens is you get a phone call. Then you'd get a phone call from Amazon, or you'd get some kind of a verification check from Amazon to verify if the transaction is valid or not. If they believe that it is not fraud, if it is not a fraud, then they go ahead and confirm your order. If it is fraud, they go back and they do one more round of check, and then they finally go ahead and confirm your order. So what you and I are going to do is, we are going to actually build that intelligent system at the background, that intelligent fraud detection system at the background, right? That is essentially what data scientists are going to do. So the fraud detection system is going to look at what kind of product has been ordered, what location it has been ordered from, what is the payment mode, and blah, 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 100 different things. And based on all of that, we check if this particular order is valid or not. That is similarly how your credit card fraud detection also basically works. Okay. Broadly speaking, there are numerous scenarios where you can apply data science. Predictive analysis, like what I've just mentioned, ads that you get, right? So for example, whenever you visit a particular website, the very next moment you get ads, relevant ads, and those ads are actually quite popular as well. Those ads become more and more increasingly relevant to you as you go along, because let's say you visited a particular website, or let's say you wanted to, let's say, purchase a particular product on Amazon, and after 5 minutes, what you would see, let's say you open any other kind of an approach, suddenly what you would see is uh, suddenly what you would see really is that that particular ad becomes more and more evident to you wherever you visit, in which any other website, so to say. That is basically ads. And recommendation engines, YouTube recommendation engines and so on, are very popular as well. So you watch a video, the YouTube recommendation system automatically identifies similar videos that are there, and then they kind of pull it up. They look at a large laundry list of content that is relevant, and they pull that up as well. So technically, net speaking, what we are saying is that data science is almost omnipresent. It is present almost everywhere, and I think that is one of the most coolest things about the field of data science. So if you remember, simply put, right, if you remember, I was talking about this machine learning and data science and so on, right? So whenever you talk about statistics and machine learning, you would often see that people talk about these terminologies like linear regression, logistic regression, decision trees, and so on and so forth. So these algorithms, or these are the kind of techniques that people basically people are basically going to look at to while they actually while they learn data science. This is what they typically learn while going through a course in data science. Now, this is not the only list, by the way. There is a laundry list of algorithms that are available. This is, as I rightly put on the top, most commonly used algorithms. The reason why we put this up here is because just to kind of tell you that if you've ever seen this somewhere, this is basically what they mean, right? These are algorithms that are going to be available for us to perform this analysis. learn any kind of data science work. Before I wrap up, I think, and open up for questions, I'd like to just talk strictly about how a data science problem is solved. Uh, a data science process typically has these 7 steps. Um, and the 7 steps is the 7 steps that I'm basically talking about over here, of course, not the only um, steps that are there. There could be numerous other sub steps to it as well, but I think broadly speaking, these are 7 large steps. So take, for example, the fraud detection algorithm, fraud detection solution that I'd like to build. So what do you need to do? First and most importantly, you got to understand what business problem that you're trying to solve. So right, so I'm back again. Just let me know if you guys can hear me now. I think you should be. I've got no idea. GoToMeeting is misbehaving today. So yes, I'm back again. So there are these 7 steps. The first one, of course, is you're responsible to go ahead and identify what the business problem is and understand what the business problem is. That means you got to understand where you're applying the data science techniques that you're going to that you will learn, of course, in the next few if you sign up for the course. So you need to know where to apply what. Right, so understanding the business problem is super critical. You got to know what kind of problems to solve, and that is exactly where the first piece is all about. Once you know what kind of problem needs to be solved, the next step, of course, is around data gathering, which is all about gathering the right kind of data to solve this problem. So, for example, you got to sit down and understand what kind of to solve, let's say the to solve, let's say, the fraud detection algorithm, you got to go back and understand what kind of data needs to be taken into account. So, for example, when fraud can happen because of multiple reasons. You got to take the customer details into account. You got to take the product into account. You got to take the source, basically the bank from where the money is getting disbursed from. Or let's say the mode of payment. All of that needs to be taken into account. So you got to take a wide variety of data to perform that kind of analysis or to extract patterns of why a particular transaction is fraudulent. Then you sit down and analyze that data and do some quick data processing. So when we say data processing, what do we mean? So it might be required for you to do some kind of transformations around the data. Right? Data might not always be in the right format. So data might have to be transformed into the way that you would want to look at it. So data transformations will have to happen. Then, of course, once the data is in the right shape, you do some quick data visualization. You create some charts. You visualize your data just to kind of get an understanding about how your data is, and do some cleansing. You might realize that in the visuals, you might realize that certain data is incorrect or certain data is incorrectly populated. So you spend a lot of time in data visualization and data cleansing and data processing. Once all of that is done, then as a final step, you go ahead and build the final model. So when I say build the model, you would be using one of these techniques or one of the many other techniques that you will be learning, and then build a predictive model. That is essentially what the model is all about. Right now, there is by no means is this process linear. That means you are not going to go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. Ideally, you should go in that sequence, but it might so happen that you will keep looping in between. So between 4, 5, and 6, you could loop. Between 3, 4, 5, 6, you could loop. After even reaching 7, you might go back to step 2. So all of this could happen iteratively. So broadly speaking, whenever you solve a data science problem, these are the 7 steps that you would generally go across. And when you learn any kind of a course, keep in your mind, whenever you learn data science in general, keep in your mind that you'll have to learn all the skills that are required for you to move from, let's say, data gathering all the way until model building. You should basically gather all the skills required in your arsenal to move from step 2 to step 7, or step 1 to step 7, so to say. um so so yeah, there's a question around what is data processing. Data processing um is about joining data, right? Let's say, you for example, take the example of, let's say, the fraud detection system. Data is always not going to be available in one single location for you. So you'll have to fetch data from different sources and then bring this data together. You might have to join multiple data sources together. And this process of joining data and then building one representation of your data is what you mean by data processing. So that could require skills around, but that would also require Python skills, and also that might require SQL skills, right? So that is basically what we mean by data processing. Okay. Um, so that, in short, is about what data science is. There's a ton to speak about, but I think it's only fair that I talk a little about, um, that I actually take your questions into account, and I talk a little about your questions as well. And I don't want to make this a monologue anymore. So let me take a few questions. Johan, I'm going to take your question. Oh, Johan seems to have left, so unfortunately, I might not be able to answer that question. Any other questions that are coming through? Okay, Sinha has a question, and the question is extremely large. Sinha, I think it'll take me the next half an hour just reading the question. Could you turn the question into a little more concise fashion so that I can answer it, or else if there is something else that you think I will not be able to answer in the next, I mean, it's quite complex for me to answer it in the session. If you could turn this into a more concise question, I'll be happy to answer. Right. Any other questions that you guys have? Yeah, Hassan has a question. How much time would it take to learn the mandatory part? Great point. I think to learn the mandatory aspect of data science, it could take you anywhere between, just to kind of understand the basics of data science, it could take you anywhere between, anywhere between 60 hours to 100 hours. The fact, of course, is that the 60 to 100 hours basically being, learning in-depth data science, in-depth machine learning, and of course learning Python quite well, and of course picking up some amount of SQL. So all of that will basically take you somewhere around 60 to 100 hours. So that's, in short, the amount of time that it would take you to pick up the basics of data science, at least, Hassan. Yeah. There's so many stages. That is at least 4 to 5 stages where to concentrate or start. Mr. Chalapati, could you basically talk about what stages are you referring to, as in stages in the sense stages of learning, or stages of the model building process? Yeah, Sujit, while Chalapati comes back with his question, I think I can take your question. Sujit, how's data gathering done? Data gathering could happen in multiple ways, right? Data gathering could basically require you to, um, data gathering could essentially require you to perform some kind of web scraping or fetching data from from databases, or it could be basically writing some kind of scripts to build some web crawlers and so on and so forth. To be very honest, web data gathering is something that we might not really do extensively. We might be we might actually hand it off to someone else. As a data scientist, we might not spend our time in writing web crawlers, or let's say web crawlers, or let's say writing some complex data gathering logic. We might actually hand it off to someone else. But in short, what we are at least expected to do is at least get data from a database, so to say. Yeah. So is Spark and Hadoop both necessary? So good question. Is Spark basically is, as I said, is, gives you the flexibility to perform the analysis in Spark basically gives you the flexibility to work with to apply the statistical and machine learning techniques on large volumes of data. Unfortunately, the point is that we will not be able to perform this kind of machine learning or data science on such large volumes of data if not for Spark. There is no way to do that right now. And that's one of the reasons why I think it is important for us to learn Spark. Now, the question is, do I need to learn Hadoop? See, Hadoop basically is a concept that is primarily been built for data engineering, which means that your responsibility is going to be to fetch data, to build data pipelines, to kind of write ETL logic, or let's say to build some kind of reporting frameworks and so on. Your responsibility and my responsibility is not to learn Hadoop. You don't have to worry too much about what is the underlying. You don't have to learn too much about what is MapReduce and so on and so forth. But at least you will have to learn a little bit of what is the what are the nuts and bolts of how Spark works, fundamentals of how Spark works. Spark also in a lot of ways is a distributed system, so you will have to learn Spark for sure. But I don't think it is required for you to master Hadoop. That is not really required. At least I don't work extensively on Hadoop. Majority of my work ends at Spark. I don't go beyond that. Yeah. Hope that answers your question. Yes. So, right. Prem, good question. Do we need a particular qualification? The answer is no. NO with a capital, with capital letters. There is no qualification that you basically require to become a data scientist. By qualification, I'm a mechanical engineer. Yet I've been able to move into the field of data science. It's just a matter of picking up the right skills for you to become a data scientist. So that's about it. So Sin has a question. What should I choose? AWS plus DevOps or data science plus AI plus ML? Need your guidance. ID project manager in DWBI. No hands-on now. Okay. So great question. See, moving from, if you want to become a data scientist, you have to be hands-on. If you're ready to be hands-on, and given the fact that you've been in the BI space, moving into the field of data science could be a logical transition. Having said that, if your deal breaker is, let's say, that I don't want to be hands-on, then I don't think data science is for you. So if you want to if you want to learn data science, then at whatever level you are, you're expected to be hands-on. At least in the initial phases of your career, you're expected to be hands-on. Else, the whole point of being a data scientist is lost. Most data scientists are individual contributors. Of course, you have data science managers, you have senior managers data science, you have vice president data science, and so on and so forth. You have all the way until the CIO levels, CIO analytics and vice president analytics and so on. So you do have people with those roles, but I think the most important thing that you've got to understand is, given that you're extensively experienced in the industry, if you want to move to the field of data science, at least in the initial phases, you might want to be a little hands-on for sure. But if you think that that's not the direction that you'd want to take. I believe this is I personally believe this is probably not the right direction for you to take. Yeah. Uh, right. Uh, Abdulli has a question. I think we can use SQL Alchemy instead of pure SQL. Yeah, so that's your choice, Abdulli. Now the thing is, when I say SQL, I'm not talking about the technology. I'm basically talking about learning a query language, right? You got to learn some query language to interact with the database. Now you learn SQL Alchemy, you learn DB2, you learn Oracle SQL. That I'm going to leave that to you. Or you learn Python to interact with SQL. I leave that to you. But I think the most important thing that I'm talking about over here is basically the flexibility and the ability to interact with the database. That skill is mandatory, and you need to learn that. So that's the whole point here. Yeah. Data visualization, processing, and analysis, etc. Every stage is enormous itself. I'm not a techie, but Oracle Financials consultant advise whether focus on visualization. Yeah. So Mr. Chalapati, I think good question. If Yeah, you're absolutely right. Each of this phase each of this is a complex phase in itself. Um, what data science would definitely require from you is it would require you to invest some amount of time uh, in being hands on. As you rightly pointed out, each of these fields is quite complex, and it could also be quite tedious beyond a certain point. So, for example, each of this data visualization or data engineering or reporting and so on could actually be quite tiresome in itself. But I think what you have to the question that you want to ask yourself is, are you interested in building intelligent systems? There is amount of learning that you'll have to go through, be it Tableau, or let's say be it visualization, or be it data science. If it's visualization, you're learning a technology. But if it is data science, you're actually learning the art of analyzing data. You're learning the fundamental ways to analyze data, and that skill is transferable. So the question that you might want to ask yourself is, do you want to learn a transferable skill or non-transferable skill? Visualization is non-transferable. Tableau is a technology, or ClickView, Power BI. These are technologies or reporting tools. We're not talking about tools here. So if you look at this piece, the piece that I've highlighted here, all of this, the red piece that you see over here, it is basically the statistics, machine learning, and deep learning are not tools. They are fundamental. It's a science to perform analysis. So now the question that you might want to ask yourself is, do you want to learn a technology, or do you want to learn the way to analyze data and then to apply and extract some kind of intelligence out of it, or to embed intelligence into systems? So I think that'll be a good question for you to ask yourself. Yeah. Kevin has a question. What about Microsoft Azure Data Scientist certification? Yeah, Kevin, to be honest, even I have that certification, and it's with all due respect to Microsoft, it's useless. It's not something that is that you should that you should that you should take very seriously. It is just a certification that is provided to evaluate your ability to use Azure machine learning tool. So it's not it is not a it is not a validation or a credibility check against your data science skills. It is basically a credibility check against if you can use the Azure machine learning service or Azure machine learning studio or not. So it's basically checking you for the tool and not for the technology, not for the data science concept in itself. So don't worry too much about that particular. The thing about data science is that there is no governing body, unlike SAP or anything like that. There is no governing body that credits you that gives you some kind of credibility, saying that okay, you are a good data scientist. There's no group like that. So hence the reason I say that there is no certifications that is required. There's no qualifications that you need. It's a tool at the end of the day. Yeah, it's a concept that you got to learn at the end of the day. Yeah. Sujit, what's the difference between AI and ML? I think I've already answered that question, Sujit. Broadly speaking, the difference between machine learning and AI is machine learning helps you solve predictive problems. AI takes it one step ahead, because on traditional data, if you're unable to solve these so if you remember this slide, I spoke about the increasing volume of unstructured data. There is text that is getting generated. There is so much amount of audio, video, and all of that is getting generated, which is very difficult to extract intelligence out of. Hence, you need more complex tools, and that's where AI comes into picture. Yeah. Okay. Cool. AI is basically one step ahead of the others. Yeah. Laptop configuration, yes, you would require at least a 4 GB machine, 4 GB RAM machine. It doesn't matter you can have any kind of um, an operating system. It doesn't matter, but at least a 4 GB RAM machine. 4 GB RAM machine these days is you have 4 GB in your phones, so that's the least that we could expect out of you. Yeah, more RAM, the better it is. Yeah. How is the market opportunities for data science? See, this is the COVID period. Firstly, I hope all of you are all safe. But this is the COVID period, and despite the COVID situation, we haven't seen a slump in the opportunities that are available for data scientists. So there are a lot of data science roles that are still available. So the market is ripe. Trust me, Hassan. There's so many opportunities that are available outside. It's just a matter of equipping yourself with the right skill set. If you have your right skill set, you can definitely become a data scientist. Yeah. Do we need to practice to improve our statistics? Dhruv, yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, you have to practice to learn any of this. But this is not a prerequisite. You will be taught statistics as a part of the course. So just basically be ready to learn statistics. That's about it. You don't have to learn it before the course. Yeah. Yeah. So now you're flooding the inbox with your with your questions. Okay, let me take one of yours. Cloud or data science, which one is better for from a career prospect? See, these are two parallel streams. Cloud and data science are two parallel streams. You're essentially comparing apples to oranges. If you ask me, both have future. All applications are now moving to cloud. Everything that we build today is on cloud. So cloud is on one side of the spectrum. Data science is on the other side of the spectrum. I think the question that you got to ask yourself is: do you like doing the data science work? Do you like performing data analysis? Do you like working on large volumes of data and extracting patterns out of data? I think if you like doing that, then it's data science for you. From a career prospect standpoint, it is probably a little easier to move into a cloud role than a data science role. Moving into a data science role would require you to spend some additional hours. It would require you to build some kind of credibility in the market and so on. So yeah, that's I think the large question. If you're asking me which is easier to find a job, probably cloud is slightly easier to find a job as opposed to data science, where you might have to clock extra hours to learn the concept and also to apply it. Okay. Hassan, I think about the price of the course and so on, I think the right people to ask would be the course advisors. Please reach out to the course advisors, and they'll be happy to answer that question to you.
So Hassan, just wait a moment. I think once we are done with the technical part of the webinar, we are going to move on and understand the marketing perspective as well. So stay tuned for that.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to take a couple of questions. Yeah, so this is another question. Kevin, how can we make ourselves more employable as data scientists if there is no recognizable certification? So, good point. So, Kevin, I think the if you actually look at the data science market, right, and the data science industry in itself, and the way people are actually making themselves more recognizable, people if the way they're making themselves visible in the industry and proving their value, proving their credibility during interviews is via a lots of hands-on projects, right? So if you look at the data science world in general, it's extremely open source driven, which means that there's a lot of content that is readily available outside in the market for you to outside on the internet for you to just take some data and then do some kind of analysis on top of it. um, there are websites like kaggle.com. There are a lot of competition websites that are available where companies come and actually post their data sets, and they give you the ability to actually interact with those data sets and solve problems. So I think that is one of the best uh, that is, I think, one of the best ways to build your credibility. Even during the course, right, even during the course that you're going to take up, what you would see is there'll be a lot of hands-on projects, mini projects, and major projects that will keep coming through, and those are the ones that I think uh, that is essentially how you make yourself more visible in the industry, more than anything else. Yeah. Uh, Sinha, yes, there is a project manager role. There are project manager roles that are available in the industry for sure, in the data science as well. But there is nothing specific. See, there are program manager roles available in the data science side. So you can definitely eye those roles. Those are actually very interesting roles as well. Rather than a simple project manager role, where a project manager is probably just going to do forecasts and stuff like that. There is a program manager role where you are, of course, responsible for building a product charter, uh, an AI product charter. So I think those roles are available as well. I think that is something that you can definitely look at as well. Yeah. And broadly speaking, the roles that are available outside in the market today for data science, of course, have a certain list. They start from um, entry level all the way until a VP level. So you have an entry level data scientist, you have a junior data scientist, a senior data scientist, a principal data scientist, you have a data science manager, and then you have a vice president data scientist and a vice president data science, or VP analytics, and it goes on all the way until the C-suite. So you have from entry level all the way until leadership roles. You have very, very good data science roles that are available in the market outside today. That's number one. Number two, when you're targeting data science as a job industry, what you should also understand is there are different kinds of job industries that are there for data science. There is one, of course, where you can look at consulting roles, services roles. The other is, of course, you can look at research teams. The other is product development teams. So the choice is yours. I mean, which kind of a role that you would want to pick? Do you want to go into services where you're going to reach out to different customers and solve various data science problems? You're going to have a lot of variety but lesser depth. On the other hand, research teams, which require you to have extensive knowledge on math and computer science, you're essentially digging deep into a particular industry. And the product roles, where you are responsible to embed AI features into a product that is already available, or analyze if a particular feature in a product is working well or not. So there are different kinds of jobs that are available outside as well to become a data scientist. So the choice will be yours, of course, once you come out. The In India, at least currently, what we see is the job market has an abundance of service roles, but there is increasingly, what we are seeing is a lot of product development roles are also becoming more and more by the day. So So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of volume in terms of jobs that are there today. I'm going to take one more question and then I'm going to wind it up. Aosius, you have a question around data processing. Let me quickly answer that question. I think you missed that part when I was talking about it. So data processing, as I said, is that particular section where you're responsible for gathering data sets from various places. So let's take, for example, you'd want to build a simple fraud detection algorithm, right? So to perform fraud detection, you got to gather data from different sources. You got to gather data from the ordering system. You got to gather data from the from, let's say, the customer database. You got to gather information from let's say, the product database. So you got to bring multiple data sources together and bring one single representation of your data. So data processing is basically that section where if you bring in multiple sources of data, and what you do is you merge them together in the merging is simply not performing joins. It is more than just joins, but basically it is about meaningfully bringing all of these data sets together. That is essentially what we mean by data processing, right? And data processing can happen via multiple ways. Either you can perform data processing inside the database, or you can perform the same data processing in, let's say, you can perform data processing in using Python, using inside, let's say, your programming language. You can perform data processing using that as well. Okay. Prem, I think those the question, Hassan and Prem, I think the questions about salaries, right? I think it's not right forum to answer that question, but I think largely, if I were to say, the salaries of a data scientist are definitely 30% higher, 30 to 40% higher than a regular software developer, for sure. So in whichever phase of career you are in, at least consider 30 to 40% higher salary brackets for yourself. Yeah, I think that's basically a good benchmark for you to look at. So Sunat, Colab basically is Google Colab is basically an industry. It is basically a tool that is provided by Google, where you can perform your own data science work in a common environment. So it's called Google Collaboratory. I believe that's what you're referring to, Sunat. Yeah? It's available. You can just say Google Colab, and then it's available for free. So instead of actually buying large machines, you can use free machines that are provided by Google, and then you can actually perform any kind of analysis or any kind of data science work that you want on those systems. Okay. Yeah. Hassan, yeah, higher than any other cloud engineer, or be it, let's say, a cloud engineer, or be it, let's say, a software developer for that matter as well, a regular software developer for that matter as well. Yeah. So data scientists are paid slightly higher than most people currently. At least they're on top of the pie, if I were to say. Yeah. Great. So thank you so much. I'm going to hand it off to your course advisors. I think they're going to take it ahead from here. If you've got any other questions that you want to answer, that you want answers from, reach out to them. If there's something that they cannot answer, I'll be more than happy to answer it. Take it from there. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Srinath. Thank you, Srinath, for your time today. So I guess, guys, you have had a good session with respect to, what data science is, and I'm pretty sure all of you now have a basic understanding about, what data science is and how it basically can be used. So from now onwards, let's understand most of the questions that I saw in the, in the questions panel was about the salary, was about how much time will it take to go ahead and learn data science. So I'm here to answer all those questions for you. So let's first talk about the job trends and the salary once you become a data scientist. So the average salary in India is 8 lakhs per annum. This is the package of an average data scientist, but this is not what a data scientist will earn if he becomes data science. This is the average salary that a data scientist basically gets when he starts working in the industry. Now, based on what experience you bring to the table, what all you have already learned, this can go up to even 40 lakhs per annum, right? But it all depends on which stage of career you are in, and which what kind of your what kind of job you are basically in, what is your profile expecting from you. So it's always best to basically take your skill set forward along with what you want to do in your career. Now, it could be two ways, guys, that you are basically going ahead and trying to upskill yourself in learning data science. The one thing that I think most of you are here for is wherein you have a passion for data science. You want to learn data science. You are driven by data. You understand data pretty clearly, and you want to enhance that skill of yours. So that is one incentive for people who want to go ahead and learn data science. The second incentive for people who want to go ahead and learn data science is obviously career growth. So probably you are in a stage where you think that whatever line you are in, you see probably a dead end, or you are probably bored of the current skill set that you are in, and you want to grow in your career. And what you want to do is you're looking out a way out where probably you can not only enjoy the monetary benefits, but at the same time you can always feed your intelligence with more skill sets. So that would be the second reason why you guys might want to upskill with any skill for that matter. Right now, my suggestion to you guys would be, if you want to become a data scientist, think about the fact that, is it really something which excites you? Is it really something which is going to go ahead and make you happy when you are actually working as a data scientist? And the second thing is it going is it going actually going to help you grow in your career? So data scientist profile, or the data science course, or the data science skill set is absolutely great for people who are interested in this data science domain, who have a passion about finding insights from data, and for people who actually want to go ahead and make their career in it. It's great for them. But if let's say I saw some questions wherein people were saying that, should I choose this course or should I choose this course? So my suggestion to you would be, just choose a course which is basically going to excite you. Choose a course which you think is going to help you and enhance in your career, right? So that should be your choice. Now, talking about the salary part, I told you that an average data scientist basically earns around 8 lakhs. But like I said, this is the average salary that somebody will earn. Probably a data scientist who knows the basics of data science, who can create models, do some insights out of it, probably this would be the 8 lakhs would be the salary that he can absolutely get. But apart from this, obviously it grows, and it grows based on how many uh, projects you have done on your own, how many skill sets you have gained for that particular job description, how much are you matching to that job description in order to get the job. So that basically is also going to decide your package. Point number one. Second thing is, let's move on. Second thing is that why you should actually go ahead and learn Intellipaat, data science with us as a company with Intellipaat. So because this is again something that you can go ahead and learn anywhere else. You can learn it on your own as well. You can learn it uh, probably from some other place as well. So what is in it for you that you should actually go ahead and learn this course with Intellipaat? So Intellipaat basically offers two courses, guys. So the first course that we have is basically in collaboration with IBM. So we have course advisors from IBM who have helped us create this course, which is called the Data Science Architect Masters Program. Okay. Now, when you talk about the skill sets which are there in data science, there are two kind of skill sets, or there are two or three kind of skill sets which a company expects. The first skill set is obviously about creating models, being able to create models which are more accurate towards making predictions. Second skill set that a company expects is to basically you being able to work with a programming language which the company is already using. And when we talk about the kind of different programming language which company uses, especially for the data science platform, it's either Python or R. right? So most of the job descriptions that you will see out there, they either say that you should be proficient of creating data science models using the R programming language, or you should be doing it using the Python programming language. So what we have done is, in the Architect Masters course, we have tried to basically target the job description which is basically offered by the or is basically offered for the data scientist profile, and we have tried to include all the skill sets that are required for a data scientist, and we have tried to include it in this course, which is the Data Science Architect Masters program. Now, apart from this, we have one more course, which is Certification in Big Data Analytics, in which the curriculum is almost the same, but it is in collaboration with Electronics and ICT Academy, or ENICT Academy of IIT Guwahati. Right now, what is the difference between the two? We will be understanding in a minute. But with respect to the course curriculum, both of these courses are the same. All right. So what is the basically the thing that is common between these two courses, which you get when you basically enroll with Intellipaat? So the first thing that you get is, guys, 24/7 support, which basically means that, let's say you enroll for the course today, right? And you basically are done with this instructor's class program. For example, Srinath basically went ahead and he explained what data science is. He talked more about why data science is such a hit in the industry right now, how you basically go ahead and create a model. So all these things were discussed in the session today. Now, let's say you get some doubt while you're basically revising on your own, and obviously, as we move along in the classes, the classes will get more technical in nature. And the thing about technical things is that it looks good when somebody is performing it on the screen, but as you do it on your own, you get a lot of doubts, you get a lot of errors, right? And for hand-holding you in those errors, for hand-holding you in those problems that you get, we have a 24/7 support team, right? So anytime you have any kind of questions, you can always reach out to our support team, who have a bunch of technical people in the team who probably are not good as the trainers, but they understand each and everything about the course. They understand each and everything with respect to the hands-on, with respect to the assignments that are given to you, which are there in the course, and they will be able to help you out with respect to any place where you basically get stuck in the course. So that is 24/7 support. Second thing that we basically help you out in is job assistance. So what we basically help you with is basically in preparing resumes. We help you, in making your resume the best for getting highlighted when you basically apply for some company. Because there's a science behind creating a resume as well, guys. Because as you would know, it's not just about writing whatever you know, whatever your skill sets are in your resume. There is a certain way where you can basically optimize your resume in such a manner so that whenever you apply for a job, your resume will sure shot get shortlisted, right? So more of these insights will be shared with you when basically your course is over. We'll help you out with your resume creation, and at the same time we'll also help you out with distributing your resume to most of our learning partners. So we are not only in the B2C sector, but we also train corporates. And let's say if we train a corporate on data science, what also will happen is, let's say there are around 100 200 people that we teach data science to in a certain company, let's say Capgemini. Now, tomorrow, they might require, let's say, 10 or 15 more data scientists. Now, for them, it doesn't make sense if they basically hire a company like us, where we take a huge amount of training classes per batch, right? So probably just for 15 people, they will not want to have a batch, right? So what they do is they ask us if we already have people that we have trained and who would be interested to join them in data scientist roles. And that is when we basically forward your resumes to those companies. And rest is up to you, how your interview goes, how well you can pitch yourself in the interview. That is up to you. But yes, we do that bridge of putting your resume out there when some company basically asks for it. Third thing is that we basically also offer you a lifetime free upgrade, which basically means that technology, as you know, it basically evolves every now and then. And what we at Intellipaat do is we always keep our courses up to date. And when that happens, one feature that we have given to everyone is that whoever enrolls with us, for any course for that matter, if we make an upgrade to that course, you will be given the latest version the moment it gets released on the website. So if you have taken data science with us, you can be rest assured for the rest of your life that data science is something that you can always learn with Intellipaat whenever a new thing comes up, right? So that's what lifetime free upgrade means. Then we also conduct mock interview sessions. So mock interview sessions would be basically conducted once your resume has been handed out to you, once you start applying for jobs. At the same time, we will be conducting mock interviews with you so that you can get more confidence with respect to what kind of questions can be asked to you in an interview. So the way we get this service up and running is we have a lot of hiring managers. So I am also a hiring manager within Intellipaat for the cloud and DevOps course. So what we do is we basically hire hiring managers who actually hire cloud and DevOps professional in the real life as well, right? And then what happens is these uh, professionals, since they have an experience of hiring people for the companies that they work for, they actually take interviews with us, mock interviews obviously with us for our learners as well, and simulate a real kind of a situation which could be there for a data scientist profile. So at the end of the mock interview session, you can also ask feedback wherein the hiring manager can tell you what are the things that you need to improve on technically, what are the things that basically you were not able to answer, or which you could have answered better. And that feedback you can accumulate in the learning process of yours, and then when you sit for an interview, an actual data science interview, you can actually go ahead and nail it. So that is again something that we do using the mock interview sessions. After that, we also have something that we call as a flexible schedule. Now this is a very important thing, because we at Intellipaat, we aim to have the highest completion rate. So if you enroll with us, we take that commitment that we will go ahead and actually make you learn data science. Now for that, we offer this feature which is called flexible schedule, which basically means that we understand that you as professionals, sometimes you will not be able to attend the class. Let's say we plan a class in the weekend at around 8 o'clock, right? Every week you're attending it, but on one fine weekend, you probably missed it. Could be a personal commitment of yours, could be a professional commitment of yours. But if you miss it, it's up to us that we try to arrange the same class to you, probably on some other day when you are free. Right? So that's what flexible schedule means. So this is available to you lifetime, right? So even if let's say you're done with the course, and let's say after 2 or 3 years, again you want to go ahead and refresh your memory, and you want to again one more batch. So that basically is possible for a lifetime. You have lifetime access to our course, right? You can go ahead and schedule according to which time you are free in. So we have batches both on weekdays and on weekends. So whatever suits you, you can go ahead and select that. So that's what flexible schedule means. And then we have something called as one-on-one doubt resolution. Now, this basically means, let's say you're done with the class of your instructor, which is basically going to be a batch. Now, after that, you got some doubts, you asked a 24/7 support team, they help you out over the email or over a call, and you got the thing working, but you have some more questions. So what you can do is you can accumulate all the questions that you have, and one fine day we can probably have an SME on board who can get in touch with you and who can resolve your doubts probably in a 15 or 20-minute session that will be on the house. You don't have to pay anything extra for anything. It'll be on the house. So all the trainers that we have, as you all know, they are all freelancers. For example, Sheena today, he basically is a data scientist in Microsoft. So what he does is in his free time, he basically helps us out in the trainings. So similarly, so the way this whole thing works is these people, these freelance trainers, they are basically paid per hour. So even if let's say your doubt is something that we'll have to pay to the SME for, it's something that we take on the house. But for that, we'll just request you to accumulate all your doubts that you have, and then probably we can have a call where you can discuss with the SME one-on-one what your doubts are, and then he can help you solve the doubt. So that is again something that we offer. Right now, these are features that are offered in both of our courses, that is the Data Science Architect Master's Program and in the certification in Big Data Analytics, which is basically in collaboration with IIT. Now let me tell you some of the features which are not there in one course and are there in the other, and probably that will help you decide which basically course to go for. Okay, so 24/7 support is present in both of our courses. Lifetime free upgrade is present in both of our courses. Flexible schedule, which I just discussed, is present in both of our courses. Job assistance is present in both of our courses. Mock interview sessions is present in both of our courses, and even one-on-one doubt resolution is present in both of our courses. Now, what is not present in the data science masters and is present in the IIT course is basically a dedicated learning manager. Now, a dedicated learning manager is a person that we will assign from an Intellipaat team. Once you get, enrolled in the Big Data Analytics Masters program, which is basically in collaboration with IIT. So this guy is basically going to track all your learning progress. He's going to be a one-touch point for you for any kind of work that you want in Intellipaat. Let's say you want to go ahead and understand, you have gone through the course, you have some doubts that you're not able to assess what all other things you should go ahead and learn. So this guy will have a track of how your attendance has been, how well you have been performing in the assignments, how well you have been responding to the questions that have been posed to you. You as a learner, when probably from a trainer point of view or from probably the SME point of view, what are the questions that were given to you and how did you respond? Right. So with this, he will be creating a report for you. He will know your weak areas. He will guide you which classes to basically attend again. He will guide you, which assignments to probably focus on again, so that as an overall you can basically grow as a data scientist in this profile. So that's what a dedicated learning manager is going to do for you, right? He can also help you out in planning your classes. He can also help you out in suggestions with respect to, since these both these masters courses will have a lot of courses, so he can also help you out in shuffling the courses and making you understand which course you can go first and which course you can go later, as per how your learning is basically going, right? So that's what the dedicated learning manager will be. Second thing is the exclusive interviews. So you will be basically, so we do conduct mock interview sessions with hiring managers, but we also conduct exclusive interviews from the IIT faculty. So the IIT faculty is also going to teach you in this data science masters course, in this big data analytics course from IIT, right? And they are also going to help you out by conducting exclusive interviews with you. So these can also be termed as mock interviews, but this will be a notch higher, because obviously the kind of depth that probably a professor at IIT has, a data scientist who is working in a job will not have, right? Because he will understand more things than a guy who is just working professionally. The reason being, a guy who works professionally in a company, he is limited to the knowledge of whatever he works in the company for. But when you talk about a professor who teaches in a college on domains like data science, he probably has a PhD. He probably is a person who has been training from a lot of years, and he understands that what all things would be required or would be expected from you on the various levels of jobs which are there in data science. For example, there could be a job of 45 lakhs that you might want to apply to, right? So for that kind of job, the depth which is required in data science is obviously going to be more than a job which probably is going to give you a package of around 16 lakhs, right? So that gap is basically bridged down upon by the exclusive interviews that are taken by the IIT faculty. And at the same time, we also guarantee in this program, the big data analytics program, that we are guaranteeing you free exclusive interviews with real companies, right? So in the data science aptech masters program, we will obviously forwarding your resume. We will all be obviously helping you out in the job assistance part. But over here, we guarantee you that you will get 3 interview calls from our learning partners, because the way we will pitch it to our learning partners would be different. It would be like, this guy has been trained by the IIT professors, this guy has completed these projects, this guy has been performing the top in the class. So the way, the approach that we are going to have with the companies in the case you enroll for a big data analytics course is going to be different, and we guarantee 3 interview calls in the course that we have, that is the big data analytics, which is in collaboration with IIT. After that, we also have something which is again very interesting and very good to have thing, which is certification from IIT. Now, what that basically means is, if you want an alumni status of a prestigious institution such as IIT, then this course is going to help you out in that as well. And how does it help? It basically is going to help you out a lot when you're applying for interviews where your resume has to be screened. a lot of companies, a lot of consultancies expect or write in their job description that they need the candidate from a top tier institution. I'm not sure how many job descriptions you have come across like these, but there are some companies like, if I were to mention DE Shaw is a company. If they basically hire, if they're hiring a business analyst, they would expect him to be a top tier institute. That is their filtering criteria while they are shortlisting, a resume. And for catering to those kind of jobs, a certification from IIT is going to help you out in getting your resume screened. So that is all how this credential is going to help you out. It's going to help you out in getting yourself shortlisted. But yes, it is again a yet very important thing to have if you are aiming for if you don't have the relevant experience and you want to apply for companies which are in the cream of the fortune companies which are out there, right? Apart from that, I've already told you that you will be trained by IIT professors in this course. And finally, in the big data analytics course, we will be conducting weekly support sessions. So let's say you opt for the weekend batch and now you're done with 2 modules of the course. Now obviously, first we will be giving you a lot of assignments, we will be giving you a lot of hands-on to work on. You submit that to the support team. Now obviously, some of you will be able to solve it, some of you will not be able to solve it. And obviously in data science, there is just not one way to solve anything, right? There are multiple ways a problem can be approached, and the correct approach will be basically discussed in this session, which is going to be a support session from Intellipaat. So we are basically going to discuss the assignment that you have solved. We are basically going to discuss the hands-on that you have done, and whether you have done it correctly or not is something that we are going to discuss in these weekly support sessions. So this is the basic overall difference, between the two programs that we offer. That is the Data Science Architect Masters program and the Big Data Analytics course that we have from Intellipaat. Okay. Now, a good thing over here is basically that in the Big Data Analytics program, now, as you understand, since it's in collaboration with the alumni such as IIT, obviously there has been a partnership. And based on that, the price has been decided. So there is a gap between the price of what you have, as in the certification of Big Data Analytics and the price that is there for Data Science Architect Masters program. But since we are guaranteeing you 3 interview calls, we basically take that expectation up because we also have to, have a good relation with the companies that where we basically refer you. We also offer scholarship in this particular program. So if you are able to clear the entrance test that we have for this certification in Big Data Analytics program, we offer a huge scholarship, right? And the price can go as low as what the price is for this Data Science Architect Masters program as well, right? It all depends on your skill set. It all depends on how you basically, how you basically go ahead and perform in the entrance test for this Big Data Analytics program. And only when you clear that entrance test, guys, you will be able to enroll in this program. Not everybody would be able to crack or get enrolled into this program because of the fact that we are guaranteeing you interview calls, right? We are guaranteeing you as a company, as an e-learning company, that you will become a data scientist, right? And for that, we do some pre-screening. We do some pre-screening of the candidates before they enroll for this course, and only then you get enrolled in this program. When you take in comparison, the Data Science Architect Masters program is a little different. So here there's no pre-screening that we do, but yes, here again, apart from the features that we do not offer here, but we, like I told you, that we have a lot of features like one-on-one doubt resolution, mock interview session, job assistance, flexible schedule, lifetime free upgrade, 24/7 support. The curriculum also is also probably almost the same, except the new features that I told you, which are basically offered in the Big Data Analytics program. So if you are interested, you can go ahead for this program as well. The price is for the instructor-led training is going to be this, but we are running an offer on our website right now, and hence if you enroll within next 2 days, probably for this weekend batch or the next weekday batch that we are starting from Monday, you can get around 20 to 30% discount on the course price. But this will only be valid for the next few days. Like I said, if you enroll for the weekend batch, coming weekend batch, or for the weekday batch as well. And as per the offer on the Big Data Analytics program, it's completely over you how you perform in that entrance test, and then we can take it forward. All right. So guys, this was about the two programs that we have at Intellipaat. Any questions you guys have? Now let me take it up, and then we'll conclude the session. Okay, so I can see questions. So Sina says, do you give any job guarantees? Sina, we guarantee you that you will get interview calls from companies. Now, depending on, see, we cannot have a control over how much attention you're paying in this session. So if you are going through all our assignments, if you're doing all our projects, if you are attending all the classes, we guarantee you will get a job, right? We don't write it because obviously it's not something that we can promise, because everyone has their own level of understanding. But yes, as a company, since we have trained a lot of people, the people who get enrolled or who get shortlisted in this program, they end up getting a data scientist job. There has been 100% job placement track with us. There has been no person in this big data analytics program, because obviously because we do pre-screening, who has not got a data scientist job. So you can be rest assured that you will get a job, right? But it's on you how much time it's going to take, because for us, if this program is basically going to be of 9 months, the big data analytics program, and if you are basically attentive in all the classes that are going to be conducted, if you are attentive and if you are diligent in submitting all the projects and assignments that we give you, you can short go ahead and get yourself a data science job. That is something that is guaranteed. Okay. Hassan says, can you tell the price of this in USD? Hassan, like I said, I mean, this is not the final price that we have on the website. It's better if you give us a call, so you can see the numbers on the screen, right? You can just go head over to intellipaat.com. You can just call on these numbers, and I think the best price can be discussed with the course advisor, and you can get it. Okay. Asana says, since you're running 30 minutes late from the schedule one, can we cut it shortly? Sure, Asana, I'm done. I have a question from Tibebu, who is saying, I'm from Ethiopia and I need financial aid. So how do I get it? Well, Tibebu, like I said, you can basically go ahead and just attempt the pre-screening of the big data analytics program. You can get a scholarship over there, and at the same time, if you think that is something which is not alluring you not that much, if you think the course price is high, you can always go to our architect masters program, where I am telling you that there's an offer which is going on, and through that you can again avail that financial aid that you're looking for. Okay, Dhruv is saying, can anyone appear for the pre-screening test? Yes, Dhruv, absolutely. All you have to do is give us a call, give us your details, and we'll set you up. SNI is saying, do you have any course tie-up with old IITs like Delhi, Madras, Bombay, and Kharagpur? Well, unfortunately, SNR, this ENICT Academy is just with IIT Guwahati as of now, right? And that's how we are able to partner up with them. For now, we don't have, but we are in the talks. Probably in the few months' time, we will be releasing more courses, not just with IITs, but even with the NITs and the other prestigious institutions, which are probably in India, and probably we are also trying out our market in the international colleges as well. So because with the COVID time, most of the colleges are now trying to establish their online presence, and because of that, this thing is still going on. Okay. SNI saying, I have 17 years of project manager experience. If I make an entry into data science, how much can be my expected salary at the start of my career into data science? Well, it all depends on SNR, how you pitch yourself for a particular job. See, with this course, the maximum salary that we have seen a learner get is around 25 LPA. Well, I'm not saying that is the borderline for you. You can go beyond that as well. But it all depends on how well you learn this course, right? So if, like I said, if you do all the assignments, if you do all the projects, if you pay attention to all the concepts that we're teaching in the class, I think you can go ahead and bag a salary even higher than that. So it all depends on how you approach, learning this course. Prem is saying, what is the test about? Well, Prem, it's usually about aptitude. So first we check your general IQ, and then there are some questions about basic programming. So that's what the test is basically about. So why we are doing this is because obviously, a person who has to become a data scientist, he should be having a high IQ. Otherwise, uh, that's what differentiates one person from the other. If you see your colleague not getting a hike and you getting a hike, it's not just because of the fact that your colleague is probably not putting in the effort. It's also about what kind of IQ you basically are bringing, how fertile your mind is. And basically, that is exactly what we are testing in the pre-screening as well. So we want people who are fertile, who are able to understand things quickly. And that's what the test is basically going to check. SNI saying, where is Intellipaat headquarters? Is it in Bangalore? Yes, Sana. So we are located in Bangalore. So our office is on the Hosu Road. We are in the IndiCube Tech Park in the AMR premises. All right, guys. Any more questions that I can answer for you? Anything that you would like me to answer? Okay, all right. So guys, what we are going to do is we are anyways going to give you a call for the feedback of the course. So if you're interested, if you have more questions, like I said, you can always talk to our course advisors and they'll get in touch with you. And these are the numbers which are available on the screen. So you can go in these numbers. If you have any queries with respect to any of your probably experience doubts, probably technical doubts, call us on these numbers. We have our course advisors on the other side. They will be able to help you out. If you want to call back, you can also, just go to intellipaat.com, go to the chat box, start typing over here. We have our course advisors who are available on this chat box as well. And probably in the next 5 or 10 minutes, they'll give you a call back. That is also possible. Tibabu is saying, would you send the website? Sure, I will do that. So I'll just type in the website name in the chat. So it's going to be this. You can just head to our website and start chatting with us, and we'll give you a call back. Any more questions, guys? All right, if there are no more questions, I thank you all for joining in today. I hope you had a wonderful time today. I hope you guys have learned something new. And if you did, please you will be receiving a survey form after this webinar. Please rate it according to your wish. And we will be reaching out shortly for the feedback of this session as well. Probably tomorrow, or if it's morning in your time, probably we'll be calling you in the next 1 or 2 hours. All right, so thank you all for joining in today. And in case you want to get in touch with us, you can always visit our website, which I have just left a link in the chat for. And you can just type in your query in the chat, and our course advisors will directly get in touch with you. So thank you all for joining today. Have a great day ahead, and goodbye.